All right, one of my favorite parts of the day where I get to sling the doors open and let everybody run in the room. Look how eager they are, how quickly they came in here. I still pretend that it's people. I still pretend that it's people physically running in the room, right? I kind of
Yep.
get that image in my mind. I don't know. That's probably just me, but I see familiar faces and they're used to my silliness. They know that I like to watch them run in the room like that. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we are going to get started. I'm going to turn things over to one of my new besties, Lux, in just a moment. But those of you who have been here before, you know the drill. I just have a couple of quick announcements. I'm not going to take up much of your time because much as I'd like to believe it, you did not come here today to see me. That's okay. But we're going to let a few more people in the room. And as a reminder, make sure you got on the right flight today. You're going to be here for weapons of mass distraction, and this is going to be super engaging. So I'm just going to warn you now, make sure you've got your chat window open, get those fingers ready because you're going to want to engage today. This is a good group, Lux. You'll be happy. They're always willing to engage. So I don't think that'll be a problem, but it never hurts to do a little friendly invitation and reminder. All right. Here at USDLA, I want to remind you also that most of our or many of our webinar recordings go right over to usdla.tv. So if you're not already subscribed over there, that's our YouTube channel. You know how this works. You've used social media, click the buttons and all the things so that you don't miss out when we add new content over there. And there is new content coming. So watch for that. Some of it is behind the member paywall, however, because membership participation does matter, and that's how we operate around here through the generosity of our member support and amazing sponsors like we have today with StreamAlive. We always love making new friends and sharing what they're doing and just getting us all together. It's a really good thing. And speaking of get-togethers, it's not too late. If you still would like to join the conference, we have both the virtual conference that is next week. I can't believe it. Next week, the 16th and 17th, we have 2 full days of virtual programming. And then on site in Cleveland, we'll be there June 22nd to the 25th. But if you register for the virtual conference, you not only get the 2 days on the 16th and 17th, you also get programming that is streaming live from on site at the conference, including some keynotes, um, some other wacky activities. You get to see our awards that we'll be giving out, and all sorts of other things. So please, if you can make it, we would love that. My email is right there at the bottom of my little window there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, put them in the chat, or I'll hang out at the end of today's session and you can just ask me in person. So with that, again, those are just a few more notes about things that are at the conference. But you know what? I don't want to spend time on that right now. I want to go ahead and just turn things over to the man of the hour. So I want to welcome Lux from Stream Alive. I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Hey, thank you for that lovely introduction. And gosh, like I was telling you earlier, you energize the room, Valerie, and thank you for that. I think that's oh yes. Super lovely to meet all of you. Heard so many nice things about the community, not just from Valerie, who you could say is perhaps biased, but she's absolutely right. I've heard from so many people about what an amazing community this is, and if the initial welcomes we've got from the few people that we've already met is anything to go by, they are absolutely right. So thank you for having me again. I'm Lakshmanan Narayan. Everyone calls me Lux, so please do. And I'm a co-founder here at StreamAlive. We'll talk a little bit more about StreamAlive. And I want to dive right into the topic for today. And like Valerie warned you, or prepared you, I should say, this is going to be a very interactive session. So please warm up those fingers, keep them ready on the chat, and help me out by participating. We'll have a lot of fun, I promise. Right. So I'm going to first say that second most common sentence in online meetings. But before I do that, I'm just going to change my share settings. Zoom has a lot of fun with their share settings. I'm going to make sure it does not show you all my weird Zoom windows over here. And give me a second. Don't show my workplace windows. Gosh, how many settings just for sharing a screen and putting a bit of audio there? This is fun. This is technology for you. Sharing my sound.
It's okay.
And
Gave me a chance to say hi to Tina. Welcome for joining us today. Want to say hi to her? I saw her snuck in at the last minute.
Thank you. Tina is my co-founder at StreamAlive, and yep, we are very, very thrilled to be here. We are in right now sunny Basking Ridge in New Jersey. So, quick question to everybody: can you tell us where you're joining from? Just type it in the chat, your city, in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from, please. Yeah. Thank you. And for the first time in its 39-year history, a PowerPoint slide is being authored by the audience in real time. And thank you, folks, for being so beautifully participative. I'm just going to zoom in on. It looks like most of the folks are in North America. Not surprising given the time of the day right now. And let's just fly around the world and see who we have over here. We've got Valerie in New Orleans, where it's 88 Fahrenheit, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Who do we have over here? We should have Nancy. Thank you for joining us from San Antonio, and it's sunny there as well. 12 noon, just about lunchtime. But folks here on the East Coast, close where we are. That one's me. That one's Tina. I already told you where we are from, so I'm going to look at the folks a little closer here. We got folks in Baltimore. Hey, Marla. Thank you for joining. Who do we have here? A little further south. Hey, Daniel from Raleigh. And I'm just going to actually, this is my favorite visualization of this. Just reminding us on this beautiful ball we call home, and literally flying around the world and seeing that we are actually connected, besides living on the same planet in many, many interesting ways. I will not click on every dot and pretend to be the weather report right now, so forgive me for that. But you get the idea. Suddenly you're seen, you're heard, you're acknowledged, you're connected. This is what we like to call a listening slide. And just to show you here very quickly, where is that escape button when you need it? I'm just gonna, whoops, I need to say, okay, the meeting is being recorded, but I am here inside of PowerPoint right now. So this is your familiar PowerPoint interface with a change. All my slides, as you can see, are not talking slides. I've got a combination of talking slides and listening slides. So that way we can go talk, listen, more dialogue, less monologue. And that's a very core philosophy of what we do here at StreamAlive. So let me jump back to what the topic for today is. And we are talking about weapons of mass distraction, which is my new favorite expression for the mobile phone. I call it mobile phone, mobile, potato. You get what I mean. So it's all about restoring presence in the online classroom and not sending learners to other places. But before diving in there, I want to tell you why this is personally important and how the journey came to be, and how we came to build what we build at StreamAlive over here, right? So before doing that, I just want to call our attention to what just happened when I asked you that question a little while back on where you're joining from. I mean, first, I did not have to give you instructions to go to this device over here, right? Second, we could start on time. And, of course, Valerie had some interesting introductions and stuff. So there were things we were doing beforehand, but we've all been in those sessions where we've been literally penalized for being punctual. Because, hey, folks, we're going to give everybody 2 more minutes and then we're going to start, and just twiddle your thumbs and hang around for 2 minutes while we wait for the rest of the room to fill up. Why not, reward presence rather than penalize it, right? There was, I don't know what you folks did just before this. Some of you are just about getting into lunchtime. Some of you probably just finished lunch. Some of you are thinking about lunch. It's too early in the morning for some folks. Everyone's coming in a different state of mind. It's nice to awaken people in an interesting way. Nobody was ignored. Every single response was captured. Even if I didn't acknowledge every dot, there was a little dot that said, you are here in digital flesh and blood. And we did not have to break flow. We just continued with the flow of what we're doing over here, which is still the number one place where people present, which is PowerPoint, right? I could have been presenting in Gamma or Canva and done exactly the same things, but I did not have to break the flow of my presentation. Valerie, my apologies. You know the story, and I'm going to subject you to it one more time. But right, and just a quick thing. We'll talk about it. But the whole story of StreamAlive actually started a few years ago. So this was during the pandemic. Was dealing with a personal, family, medical emergency. All good now, but was pretty crazy at that time. Not COVID related, but equally crazy. Took some time off, and suddenly, for the first time in my working life, had in decades really had free time. Used that free time in the parking lots of a lot of hospitals because I was not allowed inside. I had to wait outside to write this book, which was in my head, and this was really my release at that point, so to speak. It's a book called Name, Place, Animal, Thing, and it's all about giving better answers when people ask you, "So what do you do?" Right? All of us respond with what it says on our LinkedIn profiles, but when we get to speak and connect and know what all is going on in our lives, we just find that there's so much more to each and every one of us, right? So that's the thesis of the book. I'm not going to be pitching the book today or telling you about it, but look forward to doing that when we meet in person. But here's what happened. I didn't know the first thing about writing a book. And so I signed up for 6 online courses to learn how to write, edit, market a book. These were delivered over 56 live sessions, most of them on Zoom, some on Google Meet, a couple of them on Facebook Live, and at least one on YouTube Live because the person didn't want to buy a Zoom webinar license for 1,200 students. Class sizes from 12 to 1,200 people, and one of 3 things would happen in each and every one of those 56 sessions, right? In the first instance, the presenter would just go talk, slide. Everybody waits for the recording, watches it at 1.5 times the speed because, hey, why not? Second instance, the presenter would ask a question like, where's everybody joining from? Or why have you joined this workshop on better Amazon marketing for your book? And people would enthusiastically type responses, whether it's where they're joining from or why they joined the workshop. The presenter would call out 2 people and ignore 25. No one likes to be ignored, but we do it in one-to-many situations because, hey, what else can we do, right? And the third, which is really the topic for today, is in my opinion, the bravest of them all, which is, I mean, it's only modality we've had so far. The presenter would encourage people to pull out their phones, scan a QR code, and go on to some place to participate, which is first breaking flow. But second, and more importantly, it's tough to compete with all the things happening over here. Right? So not to sound like a Luddite, but the phone is never just the pole. People are not going to go to the phone and just answer your question and then stop at that. They're going to have 5 notifications waiting for them, including an offer from Domino's Pizzas that expires in the next 3 hours, right? And a notification from TikTok on something wild and weird that just happened. And the moment you send people there, you're competing for attention. You're competing with everything out there in the world for attention. But here's the thing, in all those instances, all those 56 classes that I attended, you might read my book at some point and say I didn't learn much about writing a book, but I learned a lot about online engagement because in all those 56 sessions, the chat was on fire. People were typing, people were answering. The chat was, because everything, Zoom, Google Meet, Teams for that matter, all of these platforms. But in that case, we had it on YouTube Live, we had it on Facebook. Everything has chat. Chat is connective tissue that connects everybody in the room. And the best part is there's no camera pressure, there's no mic needed, and it's 0 stage anxiety because it's much easier to participate in the chat, right? And that really was a big insight that we had in StreamAlive as I saw all these sessions by all these coaches and educators and trainers and all of it. And then we went on a journey that I'll share with you in a little bit. But first, I'd like to make sure that what we're talking about today is relevant. So quick bunch of questions. Heads up, Valerie warned you and so did I. There's a lot of questions. So I just want to know, in a word or two, how you would describe what you do. So, and a full transparency, I am rapidly learning beautiful things about the world of online education. So heads up, once I know what you do, I might reach out just to understand it better. So just in a word or two, what do you do? If you can just type in the chat, please. Operational leader, educator, writer, online course management, online education, campus, writer. This is fantastic. Please keep it coming. Thank you. Lifelong learner, Daniel, aren't we all? That's beautiful. Faculty development, instructional designer, campus online education, beautiful. I look forward to learning from all of you on a lot of things. And I think some of what we're going to be talking about today will be relevant. Some might need to be tweaked. And I look forward to getting feedback on how we can tweak things, because we have candidly been tweaking things along our journey. Charter schools, virtual public faculty development. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Thank you. Quick journey recap. So I told you, we started off with saying, hey, we can make the chat, we can visualize the chat in very interesting ways. For various reasons that I will not bore you with, we first jumped into the world of gamers and streamers, and then had a lot of interesting experiences. The really big gamers and streamers would not touch our product unless we paid them to be sponsors. The really small ones loved our product but could not afford to buy a license. We ended up giving some of them free ones just to play around with it. We learned a lot about the art and science of engagement from that ecosystem. And then we had a bunch of trainers who started playing around with StreamAlive. They loved it. They used it a lot, and they asked us a lot of questions. And they started using us in there. And then I'm just going to switch tracks here to show you what happened after that. A bunch of them said, hey, can this work in Zoom? We made it work in Zoom. And then Zoom joined, created this whole marketplace of apps. They actually have, if you didn't know already, 3,500 apps now. So besides having a StreamAlive web application that we created, we ended up having a Zoom application, built it out for the world of Zoom. It's among their top 4 AI apps now. Most importantly for today's conversation, we are Zoom's #1 app for education. And when that happened, we said, we found our sweet spot. Thank you, Valerie. And I'd say, this is home for us. Education in any form, whether it's a trainer teaching a course, whether it's someone teaching Lux how to write a book, or it's someone doing an online class, or faculty development, or instructional design, all of that, some form of education impartment is really where we shine the best. And that's really our focus. And then we doubled down on the whole world of training and everything. I had a few folks who joined us in that journey. And then someone asked us, hey, have you spoken to the USDLA? And then we got introduced and then we found we had more than one common friend. Talked to Valerie, talked to Pat, realized there's a huge, beautiful tribe over here. And candidly, I've kept some time in the session to really chat and learn. At the end of it, I want us to literally unmute ourselves and speak. We're trying to figure out how we can help transform the world of online learning, because the human voice has never been more important than it is today, right? AI can commoditize content. AI can create content at a click of a button, but the experience of being in a shared classroom, whether that's physical or whether that's online, cannot be replicated. People learning from each other, learning who else is in the room, what they do, which is kind of what we just did in the previous interaction. We just learned who all are in the room, and we know that we can learn from each other as well. And we're going to do a couple more of these, by the way. So if you, in a bit, I'm going to ask you why you joined today's session so that I can hopefully address some of that. We'll come to that in a moment. But there's so much of knowledge in a room that needs to be collected, corralled, and shaped, that's a beautiful opportunity. And we're excited about that in the world of online learning, right? Central thesis to what we do is that we are all textroverts. This is a term borrowed from interestingly, a professor who uses us in colleges in person, as well as online in various colleges in India. And he was one of our early adopters. And he said, what I love most about this modality of using chat to get people to participate? And we said, no, why do you like it so much? He said, the student who's too cool for class enjoys putting cool stuff in the chat. The one who's too shy for class is happy to put things in the chat because I don't call that person out. So you capture the person who's too cool and the person who's too shy. And it's pretty cool that way because, everybody, introverts, extroverts, they're all participating. And that's where the word textrovert was born. So we are a platform for textroverts, and we use text and chat to unmute the audience, to stop one-way presentations. And we do that by making the chat stream alive, as you saw a little while back, whether that's a word cloud, whether that's a map. And don't worry, I won't subject you to each and every one of our interactions, but there's a whole library of a lot of beautiful things you can do just with chat. Yeah. Question time. Very grateful for you for joining in person. You could have watched this recording, but you chose to be here today and share this moment together. I want to make sure I address at least part of why you joined today. It could be simple curiosity, saying, who's this guy with the weird topic? Or what is this? Or, hey, I haven't been on a USDLA webinar earlier, or I wanted some entertainment as I'm at lunch. I will not feel bad. Just Thank you. So I just want to get a sense of why you're in the room, what you like to accomplish, reignite the spark in our webinars and trainings. Daniel, that's great to hear, because that's certainly the thesis and hope over here. Make webinars and trainings a lot more engaging. So, fun fact, by the way, Tina and our third co-founder, Joe, who's our CTO. So Tina, me, and Joe met in college. Okay, this is where I kind of date ourselves. A little more than 30 years ago, about 34 years ago. And at that time, Joe and Tina were furiously competing for the Tetris crown in college, because they both fancied themselves as the Tetris champions. So this feature is inspired by Tetris, as you can see. Everything falls down like Tetris tiles, and I don't enable sound, but it also gives all those Tetris like fun sounds. But I just want to look at your, help make virtual school more interactive for learners. That's beautiful to hear, Dr. Learn. Always reflecting, yes, absolutely. And reflecting is a great point, Megan, because that's kind of what you're doing in a session like this, when everyone sees everyone's responses front and center, and the presenter doesn't have to do elevator eyes. It's like you're facilitating the task of reflecting, not just for your benefit, but for everybody else's benefit as well. Best practices for online engagement. Hope you hear some. I mean, certainly sharing what we believe are best practices. Keep online learners engaged, guiding faculty to build more interactivity into async online classes. Absolutely. I'm curious about your point on async and online. We will certainly get into that. And new ideas for engagement. Hopefully you've seen a bit of that, but happy to chime in on more. This is also a great feature for me to talk about one of my pet peeves, which is that when we go into online sessions, we ask people these binary questions. Do you agree, yes or no? Or here's a poll. Do you like apples, oranges, or mangoes? I mean, of course, the answer is mangoes there, but we ask people closed-ended questions. Why can't we ask open-ended questions? And why can't we use AI not to replace the human voice, but to do things we could not do previously? For example, over here, I've got these responses. I want to summarize what all of you have said. I'm just going to press a button over here to summarize what all the responses that I got. Now, imagine if I'd gotten 40 responses or 50 responses. It's humanly impossible to paraphrase what everybody is saying, to paraphrase the fact that you're talking about training, interaction, engagement strategies, faculty support, and best practices. Most of you have joined to learn about online engagement and improve methods to keep learners interested. So this is, us using AI to kind of summarize open-ended responses from people, as opposed to replace people's opinions, which I think is not a good use of AI, especially in these kind of scenarios. But this allows us to do things that we could not do before. I could essentially read a room quite literally in the way that we're doing over here. And that's why this is one of my favorite ways of engaging people in sessions. Yeah. Cool. So this is my POA today. I'm just keeping a mindful eye on time, because I can get excited and go far over time than I planned. But I wanted to first, tell you about why this philosophy of people being textroverts and unmuting the audience by using chat is so central and core. And we are biased, but we think it's very, very powerful. It's been right under our noses all these years. And yet for all these years, I mean, 1987, so 39 years since PowerPoint was invented, we're still going talk, and slides, or breaking flow. And we just think there's a very interesting opportunity over here, especially in these times where the human voice has never been more important. I'm a little worried about the second part, which is called the textrovert ladder. The reason I'm worried is it's my opinion on, based on conversations with trainers and gamers and streamers, on a model that I personally follow for making my sessions engaging, and I thought I'd share it. And the reason I'm worried is this is a very erudite group on learning methodology and instructional design and everything. So I will not feel bad if you laugh me out of the room on that. But hey, I'm going to share my opinion on this and what we do. It's worked for me. Take it as you will. So I thought I would just share it, and it's a great conversation starter. So that's called the textrovert ladder. And then I want to make sure we have time to just talk and literally unmute ourselves and have voice, if that's okay. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to say, stick around till the end. I hate to be one of those guys who says, yeah, stick around till the end, we're going to do this. But I'm going to say, stick around till the end. I'm just going to use one of our features to, I think you'll love that feature. It's called Winning Wheel. It's a very different way of running a spinner, because I don't know who all are going to be in the room today. And if you're interested in getting a free copy of my book, Would love to give you a copy, and we're going to pick one winner from the folks who've participated here. We'll come to that in the end. It'll be fun, I promise. We're also going to have a couple of quizzes. So no pressure, but we're going to have a bit of fun, yeah. Because I know that I was talking to educators. A lot of them talk about using Kahoot and stuff, and the challenges of taking people off platform. So we have a recent take on that. Would love to share it with you. But coming back to the ladder, like any ladder, it's easy to take the first step, and then midway through it, you're like, oh gosh, why did I climb here? And then once you're going a bit higher, obviously the effort is more. So similarly, there is a gradient. You can't start a meeting with, hey, tell us what you hope to accomplish in today's session. You have to start with icebreakers and making it easy and everything, right? And all of that is what we've encompassed into this thing that we call the extrovert ladder, which is, like I said, a framework that we developed across all these different experiences with people. This is the gist of the framework. Rather, it is not this, but what is missing here. I know it looks like an ad for the Matrix. It's not. There are a few alphabets missing in this diagram. I'm going to keep it up for the next 15 seconds. I'd like you to take a look at it and get a sense of what is missing in this image, and hold your horses on it. Just keep it with you, and I'm going to ask you a quiz in a second, and you're going to have points. No pressure, but a bit of pressure. So what is missing over here in this image of not all the alphabets, but some of the alphabets? And hopefully you've had a handle in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go to the next slide and ask you this as a quiz question. So 4 options. Only one of these is correct. I think it's option, if you think it's NEO that's missing, type the number 1. If you think it's LADER, type the number 2. 3, chat, AER for you. Okay. I don't know, there was 2 less time because I was giving instructions again, but hey, it's fine. It's not the Nobel Prize you're doing here. Let's just see who got it. Yes, number 4 is correct. Katie, Daniel, and Dr. Curry Lerner up there in the leaderboard. And different points because some folks give the answer faster, so you get more points. We have 2 more questions. If anyone else wants to get their name onto the leaderboard, it's cumulative. So if you're one of those who I've got to win this quiz kind of thing, don't worry, you're going to have 2 more questions where we do this. But AEIOU is what is missing, and that really, the reason I brought that up is not to get back to literal basics on the alphabets, but to share our model for how we kind of do this whole extrovert ladder, right? Whoops, jump to slide here. So that is the ladder. And the mnemonic I use to remember is AIOEU. So it's the vowels, but in a bit of a different order. Awaken. Hey, where are you joining from? Tell us where you're joining from. Identity. What do you do? Are you an instructional designer? Do you work with faculty? What's your role? Opinion or experience. What do you do and why are you here? What can we help you with? What is broken with sessions? What can be improved about sessions? That's kind of what we captured so far. And I'm willing to bet that at least for the next few minutes or hours, you're not going to forget AEIOU because we reinforced understanding by doing it in the form of a quiz. So we just did AIOEU in sequence. And that's kind of what I follow for all my online sessions, webinars, and everything. I have some form of this. It doesn't always have to be in this order. It's more or less this. You jump around a little bit. No one's going to say, no, you did not follow the pattern. But as long as you have a bit of them, keep it mindful. It stays conversational. It stays interactive. It stays fun. So this is a summary of what I use for our sessions. Awaken, simply remove barriers, collective presence. We're all on the same planet. We're all here, right? Identity, read the room. I mean, the number of panel discussions I've attended where there's almost a disconnect between those 4 people sitting in high stools on that podium out there and the people in the room, and they don't realize it till the end. It always beats me. Why don't we just ask? I mean, who's in the room, why they're there, and then steer the entire conversation towards addressing the queries of the people in the room, right? So identity is important. And I just want to, this is an interesting story. It's actually building as we're going on. Tomorrow, Tina and I have a meeting, which is one of the, and please humor me here, I have a very seemingly weird question. Share something unique on your table. Okay, all of us have objects on our table, so just share something unique. And I promise it'll be weird and fun. But as you type your answers, I'm just going to tell you why I asked this question. One of our recent users for StreamAlive is a Ukrainian school called Svitlo, SVITLO. 40% of Ukrainian school kids do not have access to their classroom and therefore have moved online. Viking ship, oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, folks, don't get overwhelmed by the Viking ship. I know it's a tough act to beat, but please type what's on your table. Okay. Bubblegum, hopefully in its wrapper and not outside of it and chewed, but we're not judging. A wooden cat. Okay, so please keep them coming. I mean, this I'm also testing our product for and seeing what it comes up with. Yeah, we'll come to it in a sec. So Svitlo has about 40% of their of Ukrainian students are now doing classes online, which is a shame. I won't get into the state of the world and all of that, but besides education, they've also lost their sense of community because school is a social network, right? And that social network was not available for them anymore, and they're trying to build a sense of community. Someone in England did a demo for them on StreamAlive. The students loved it, got in touch with us and wanted to buy licenses. And we said, nope, you're not buying it. We're supporting you because we love what you're doing. We've become friends with the Switlo folks. We're working together with them. And the best part is it's student ambassadors who graduated previously from Switlo who are now in college and who are actually facilitating a lot of this. So there's about 8 of them who we are catching up with. All 8 tomorrow. We caught up with multiple folks in different times. And this, for example, is a question that, you're not in the same room, but imagine students and children answering this question. And then imagine a teacher, again, AI in the service of the human voice, not replacing it, a teacher saying, if we were all together, I wonder what that might look like. And using AI to create an image that was never created before in the history of the internet, will never be created again because it includes Viking ships, wooden cats, and other things, and bubblegum somewhere in the corner. So this is just, this is our thing on visualizing people's responses. You can imagine this going in different directions, right? Visualize the room, summarize the room, analyze the room. There's a lot of interesting things we can do in today's time and age. And this is one example of, I'm sure the kids there in Switlo will come up with even better examples on what we can do with it. But hopefully this gives you some inspiration as well on how we can engage people online. Opinions, everyone has opinions. Many people have many opinions, but they energize and create momentum, right? Experiences. This is one of my hobbies, or as Tina would say, one of my midlife crises is that I fancy myself as a comedian. I do a lot of open mics and stand-up comedy, and we keep talking about whether AI or other things can ever replace that human emotion of laughing, and the answer is a very resonant no, because that whole lived experience, that whole lived knowledge that you bring into, you folks bring into your classrooms and your education, and comedians bring into their sets and act is valuable. And I think we need to bring it front and fore in these conversations too, right? And finally, not just tell people what you told them, ask them what you told them, which is kind of what we did with reinforcing what we did. And I could do that in multiple ways. I could ask you, hey, what is one thing you're going to take from today's session and use later in your sessions? And I could have an open-ended question around that. Or I could run it as a quiz where I promised you'd have 2 more chances to catch up. So let's do that as well. So 2 questions, 50 seconds, very quick. You know the drill. All right. I can't fault neither. It's not a wrong answer, but a bit of a trick question here with both being the preferred answer. And we've got Daniel still up there, Carrie, and we got, I think, Nancy just joined the leaderboard. Congrats. And Tina, I think you joined just maybe in the nick of time, so it wasn't, you got a wrong answer, so that's why. Okay, right. Okay. Tina, I must share, is fiercely competitive. I've been in these quizzes before where Tina's tried to win it, and we said, hey, it's not fair if you do that. So we kind of moved from there. We will, just in the interest of just keeping an eye on the clock, we'll kind of move ahead to the next one over here. But that's kind of, what I covered over here is what I meant by the textrovert ladder in terms of having a framework for asking questions. And I'd love to talk in about a couple of minutes and any questions you have. Oh, I forgot to say, if you have any questions, you can also type them in the chat if you want, because StreamAlive also automatically pulls up anything that smells like a question and puts it in a neat list for me and summarize so I can go through it at the end. But we can also unmute and have a conversation over it. I wanted to make sure we had time for that. Before we do that, I want to make sure I do the other couple of things I promised. So This is again one of my favorite features, and also a way for me to make sure that we've kind of hammered in that method of AIOEU. If you'd like a chance to win this book, won't feel offended if you don't put your hat in the ring. But if you'd like a chance to win this, just type AIOEU in the chat, please, as one string. The way it is can be small, can be caps, does not matter. And you will see that it automatically reads the chat, pulls in your name in here, and populates the wheel over here. So just type that in the chat, and you should see your name pop in over here. Got a couple of folks. Thank you. And thank you, folks, for being so amazingly participative. Dr. Lun, I think if you'll need to change. Oh, you got your name in there. Perfect, perfect. Yes. Awesome. So yeah, apologies for the confusion over there. We got, I'm just going to count down from 5 before we spin this. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who doesn't love a spinning wheel? Katie, congratulations, and thank you for participating. I'll share my coordinates in a bit. If you can just ping me on LinkedIn, would be happy to check with you on what's the best way to get this across to you in physical or digital form, or if you're coming down for the event in a couple of weeks in person, which is a good segue into my next slide. I promise I just got 2 more slides. Hope to see you in Cleveland in a couple of weeks. Both Tina and I will be there. Like I mentioned, we've been loving our experience with this tribe so far, and looking forward to meeting a lot of people in person. And if you're not there, hopefully connecting on the interwebs. Speaking of which, Linktree is the best way to find the ways to connect with me and with StreamAlive. So if you go to linktr.ee and Lux Narayan, it has all my profiles, including all the other weird stuff I do. And also a link to my LinkedIn profile. And the StreamAlive Linktree has everything, including the link to the StreamAlive website to sign up for a free account. You can just go to streamalive.com and take everything we did for a spin and play around with it. But again, I'm Lux Narayan. Our philosophy is, unmuting the audience, making live sessions a lot more engaging, participative, interactive, and hopefully you've seen a taste of that. I didn't want to intend today to be a demo and stuff. That was not the agenda, but happy to schedule that at some other time, or one-on-one, or we've got time left in today's session. So if anyone wants to see how we did what we did, happy to take you through a bit of that as well. Just going to, oops. We don't have any real questions in the chat, so we can just unmute ourselves and speak. Valerie, I'm not sure how you prefer to handle Q&A questions and stuff. I'm okay anyway, but...
It's a pretty well-behaved group. This is a pretty well-behaved group. So I think that they would like to unmute. If you'd like to, if it gets too unruly, we'll go back to the raise hand. But usually this group is pretty well-behaved. So yeah, if anybody has a question and wants to unmute and or come on camera, we can certainly do that while people are thinking about their questions, or you can still type your questions. That's still on there. We're always textroverting. We're good. You can still, if you think of a question. But I personally, I love the textrovert ladder, because coming from the gamification side of things, it's one of my cardinal rules. It's like you got to get the small wins to start the flywheel of engagement. Don't ask them for their social security number as the first question. Don't go too deep too fast. Give them something light and breezy to start with, so they know they're in the right place to engage. So, but yeah, what? Come on, so quiet today. And I was bragging about you guys about how they always engage and have these great questions. If anybody has a question, just give us a holler. You get some thank yous going in the chat. Yeah, the wooden cats. I understand the wooden cats are they're high maintenance. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about wooden cats. I have some animals of my own, and yeah, not of the wooden variety, but that's okay. So, if anybody wants to share, and were there any of the letters that you already are using, or one that you're going to start using? I think is a good. I thought those are great reminders of, because I think sometimes we think we're engaging and we're like, ooh, hadn't thought about doing that one. So I'm just kind of curious about that, if anybody wanted to share anything about that.
I'm actually curious as well about, Is presentation the instrument? Is PowerPoint the instrument of choice for a lot of? I know there's a lot of things changing. There are new apps coming on. Is it that? Are people embracing new apps? Just curious about what is prevalent, the prevalent toolkit and methodology nowadays.
And you can put it in the chat. This is invitation to speak only. Here we go. Oh, can we see the letters? Oh, thank you, Kate. Can we see the letters again? They would like to go back to the text ladder and see
Happy
the
to.
choices.
I'm just gonna go back here.
That would be helpful.
And again, if there are any questions, please just.
But while he's doing that, oh, here we go. Now we're getting some. Dr. Corey's they're having some struggle with at-risk students interacting and getting engaged. Yeah, they will text. So awesome. They see this as a good tool. Yeah, I've had that experience too with certain audiences. And I think certain audiences have sort of been, I hate to say it, they've sort of been trained into passivity, and
Yeah.
that doesn't help. They don't want their cameras on either. No, I know. That one's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah. And that's
I had professor. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just going to throw this in for the camera thing real quickly, because this was a very hot topic, not just during COVID, but for those of you working with students, particularly those who are approaching that graduation period, it's a really good reminder. And I had this with professors too, because they didn't want to turn their cameras on either. And I wanted to remind them that in the job market right now, the first interview most of you are going to have is going to be on camera. And I see some validation over there from Dr. Corey. You're doing your students a disservice by not explaining to them why it's important for them to be on camera. And I totally understand the limitations of bandwidth. I understand the limitations of people joining from all sorts of locations that perhaps they do not feel comfortable being on camera. And I totally respect that. And turning on cameras is always an invitation in my workshops. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I still see that starting to creep back in as more people are going back into in-person spaces, and they're forgetting that this is still a thing. So I want people to have the best work experiences. They did all that hard work in college to get through it, and then they're going to get that job. And so anyway, that's it. I'm sorry. Back to Lux and Tina.
All good. But I'm curious about also, is it primarily Zoom that's where online classes happen most of the time? Is it?
I'll let this audience answer what their institutions are doing, but I can give a few thoughts. Google Meet. Yeah. Yep. You have any Teams people in the house today?
Oh, which is actually a good segue into, I'm just going to disconnect StreamAlive from this PowerPoint session. And if this was on Google Meet today, I would have connected it to Google Meet. But again, common thing to all of these platforms is they all have chat. So if for some weird reason you're teaching online education on Twitch, that would also work. But yeah,
it could happen.
Yep.
It could happen. I've taken courses where one of our main sources was Telegram. Like there's lots of, I mean, it could be anywhere. Just people learning stuff all over the place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm curious if anybody's using anything else. I've worked with a few institutions, particularly who have health services programs, who were using like Blue Jeans because of HIPAA. There's lots of them out there. So corporate, a few people are still using WebEx. Sorry, did I make a face? I didn't mean to make a face. I didn't.
No. I was pointing at what Tina mentioned. She said, Lux, could you show the analytics? It's a great point. I always forget to do that. Yes, I probably should do that. So let me switch tabs here. Thank you for the reminder, Tina. So after every StreamAlive session, it creates this bunch of analytics, which we've been told by a lot of educators is super important because it gives calibrates engagement, so to speak. So we're working on making this even tighter, even more robust, actually quantifying how much it increased engagement, where chat and participation is considered a surrogate for engagement. I can show you this particular one because it's a session that I ran for a workshop I conducted a few months ago around the theme of my book. And I had 48 people in the room. And you say, hey, Lex, how did that go? I can tell you exactly how it went. I had 84 minutes, 770 comments altogether, an average of 10 per minute. But at peak, I had almost a comment every second because there was a minute when I had 54 comments in that singular minute. I could show you how the chat was on fire. Each time there was a colored band, and those colored bands are when I ran StreamAlive. So the x-axis is time. So 0, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and so on, time progressing. Y-axis is comments per minute. And each time you can see the pattern, right? People respond when they know their responses are counted, they matter, and they're seen, heard, and acknowledged. If not, people like they'll participate a couple of times and then they just, hey, who cares anyway, right? But when you show people that their responses are going to be counted, there's a very powerful feedback loop that kicks in and people participate even more. So you can see it's kind of sustaining. It's always peaking when there's an interaction happening. Mine is a case of an overdoing it in some ways, you could argue, because I love keeping these conversational. So I actually ran 22 interactions in that workshop. Most people would maybe run 4 or 5 or maybe 10 at max, but I was just playing around, doing a whole bunch of things. So Name Place Animal thing is actually a childhood game in India. So we played the game among 48 people. It's usually played with 3 or 4 people. We were 48 people, and we played the game. I had questions around what people do for their health and hobbies and what they're currently doing and things that they're doing for their physical, emotional, mental health. Just a conversation with the room, right? And again, when people saw what others were doing, they were learning from each other, which is a beautiful part of it. All of this was generated afterwards. It translated into a bunch of images, which I could download as a PDF, as an Excel, as images to share with our team on how the session went. I could not answer all the questions that people asked in the session because we ran out of time. And that's why I kind of over-index now on making sure I never run out of time, because no one's going to regret saying, hey, give me 10 minutes back of the 1 hour I earmarked over here and I get to do something else, but you don't want to run over. So I've become very conscious about that. But these are questions people asked. They had, and StreamAlive auto-categorized the questions. I had questions on technology, I had questions on communication. People participated quite a bit. They shared a whole bunch of links. A lot of things that come out from the analytics that come out of a session, which is why Tina was keen that I share this, because we've had some faculty at Rutgers over here actually use us for, they turn the Zoom chat. They do a very interesting thing. They use our quizzing features and they made the Zoom chat only 1-to-1. So you could not see what others were typing, and they actually assessed the students and gave scores and grades based on what they put in there for one course, because students could not see the answers others were giving. And the quiz was, you could configure the quiz not to show which answer was favored and stuff. So they actually used it for assessment and grades and cohorts of users and everything. We're just finding people use us in very interesting ways. And I'm curious to see how this group of folks also use us in education or come up with ideas on what else we should be doing to make it even better for online classes. Right? So again, please continue the conversation. Happy to continue chatting about how we can make online education a lot better than what it is right now.
All right. Well, I want to thank you and Tina for being here today. I want to thank everybody for being here today and for participating. Yeah, we're a little quiet, but that's okay. You did participate, so you're I still love you all anyway. But I am going to go ahead and stop the recording in just a moment, because I also know something from running these sessions for many years, and that is that sometimes there's a question that for some reason people just didn't want to ask while it's being recorded, and that's totally okay too. So just for all of you who are watching this in the future out there as well, thank you for watching the replay. Don't want to leave you out, and I hope that any and all of you come back and visit me at another future event like this. And again, invitation is still open to come to Cleveland if you can, or the virtual conference. Also, mark your calendars. November, the first week of November, is National Distance Learning Week. We have a full week of free programming. So stay tuned. You'll start hearing more about that in the newsletters and in the emails and everything after the conference. Give us a minute. We're going to finish the conference. So with that, we're going to close the recording, but I'm not kicking you off the lawn. You can stay here for just a moment if anybody has any other questions.